For my EDU 527 Application of Technology assignment, I use the program Screencast-O-Matic as a tool for research, communication, and collaboration. I have used this program several times before when I have had a substitute teacher. My students were used to seeing this technology, but they have never worked with the program themselves. For this assignment, I use my mid to late lifespan development students. These students are a part of our Fundamentals of Teaching career pathway, so they plan on becoming teachers and educators of some sort in the future. The class had just finished studying about adolescent development and learned methods for optimum growth and development throughout this stage of life. To finish this unit of study, I wanted students to learn more about different issues that teenagers struggle with on a daily basis, and then make some recommendations as to how educators and other adults could help teens work through these issues. When creating this assignment, I decided that Screencast-O-Matic would be a great way for students to not only expand their knowledge of teen issues, but also better their presentation and collaboration skills as future educators. I used the ISTE standards 2A and 3B to guide my instruction and to guide my creation of the Screencast-O-Matic assignment. I referenced the Universal Design for Learning guidelines to evaluate my assignment and make sure that this would be effective for my students. The Students' Teen Issue assignment meets several parts of the UDL in each of its three categories of representation, action and expression, and engagement. To begin this assignment, I first had students brainstorm different issues that they feel adolescents may struggle with. I had students come up to the board and write these issues, and we discussed briefly using whole group discussion about these issues to gauge students' prior knowledge. Then I had students choose the topic that they were most interested in learning more about. I then passed out this paper that you see on the screen and explained their assignment. Students were to research this topic, answer the guided questions I have provided on the left, and then create a presentation over their research. Then, rather than presenting in front of their peers as they usually do in this class, students would have to create a script and record their presentation using Screencast-O-Matic. The rubric and scoring guide for that are on the right side of this page. I provided two examples on my online classroom of Screencast-O-Matic recordings that I had created in addition to these written assignments. The research, creation of the presentation, and recordings took about 4 days total. On the 5th day is when students were able to collaborate and see what their other peers had created. Students submitted their finished recordings to my online classroom. Their peers were able to view these recordings and take notes over their research on a guided note sheet. I checked the students' completed guided note sheet for accountability. Here are a few still shot examples of my students' recordings. Since students were allowed to choose their method of presentation, I only had a few students who were comfortable with Prezi and used this program. The majority of my students use the familiar format of either Google Slides or PowerPoint for their presentations. Overall, I was very pleased with how these presentations and recordings turned out, especially with this being their first time using the Screencast-O-Matic program. For accountability of the content that they learned through this assignment, students had an open-ended response on their adolescent test at the end of the unit, where they had to compare and contrast 3 of the different teen issues that they had studied. They also had to explain, most importantly, how teachers can help their students through these issues. Again, this is the main focus of this assignment since these students plan on becoming teachers in the future. For feedback over their use of Screencast-O-Matic technology, students self-evaluated their recordings with the scoring guide provided. I obviously also provided feedback and scoring over these recordings. And finally, students anonymously peer-evaluated 2 other recordings of my choosing and provided that person or group with the feedback as to how they could improve on their Screencast-O-Matic recordings in the future. I had students write out this feedback on a sheet of paper using the familiar format that we use several times in class, the 2 strengths and 2 struggles system. This collaboration effort and feedback practice will help these students prepare for a future in education. In conclusion, I feel that this assignment met the ISTE and UDL standards that I intended it to. Students also used their knowledge of adolescent physical, intellectual, emotional, social, and moral development to help them evaluate teen issues and recommend effective techniques for teachers to help students work through these issues.